Deep in the foothills of southern Appalachia, there lives a fish that has been there since the beginning. It's as orange as an October sunset. It sports ivory-tipped fins and red dots with blue halos on its sides. Vermicular markings line its back, and sometimes orange and white spots can be found on its dorsal fin. It only lives in the coldest, cleanest water around. That fish is the southern Appalachian brook trout. For centuries, this fish has survived droughts, floods, and environmental harm caused by mankind. We fish for these trout because their beauty is unparalleled, and the journey to find them will take you to some of the most uncharted places left in the Appalachians, such as uninhabited headwater systems, creeks engulfed with rhododendron, and historic hollers that were once hideouts for bootleggers and outlaws. In search for these fish, we decided to head out and explore some of the most remote locations left in the Southeast, not only to catch them, but to show their true beauty and share their story. Over the last century, native brook trout have lost over 75% of their native range in the Smokies alone. This is primarily due to logging, as well as the introduction of non-native species, such as rainbow and brown trout. Because of this, native brook trout have been extirpated in many places. Luckily, the National Park Service has teams of research biologists that find ways to help preserve and restore our beloved fish. For the Smokies, supervisory fisheries biologist Matt Culp is at the forefront of many of the brook trout projects.
My name is Matt Culp, and I'm a supervisory fishery biologist at Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And I started here as a grad student in 1992, and I started working here in May of 1994. So just to go over what we're doing today, one of the things we're charged with, and no matter what resource field you're working in the Smokies, is to protect and preserve our native species for the enjoyment of present and future generations. And one of the ways we do that is we keep a pulse on the status and trend of our fish populations across the park. And so this is one of our long-term monitoring sites. We come to this every year, once a year, and we do a fish population survey on a couple sites. And it gives us a good sense of not only the population dynamics up here over time, how that's affected by acid rain, how that's affected by fishing, but it also gives us individual lengths and weights to give us condition of fish. Are they above weight, are they underweight, and how are those same things affecting those fish populations? And so it's a really nice data set to look at over time. The origins of the southern Appalachian brook trout is kind of a conundrum. Brook trout, today have seen a lot, both in terms of natural, heating and cooling, but also then man, the influence of people. And so they've been through logging, they've been through development, and then reforestation. And so this area we're on today is is probably relatively unimpaired from people, maybe selectively cut in pieces, but across their range, they've just been hammered by the development, disturbance, logging, and then the introduction of non-native species. And so that's really their story here in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park as well. Has been a pretty aggressive in terms of restoring the native brook trout. You know, one of the foundational policies of the National Park Service is to protect and preserve native species. So in our case, it's native fishes and mussels. And we've been working hard to do that with a variety of non-game fish as well as our brook trout. And so we've restored right up to date 13 streams in just over 30 miles. Just this year, we tackled another 6 streams just around the Fontana, around the 20-mile area. That's another 6 miles, so that'll add put us up to about 36 miles of streams once those have been restored. And we'll continue to look for opportunities to do that. We've got some places we can do that and some places that we can't. We do have some big ones on the horizon. One of the ones we're pretty excited about is over on the 20-mile section of the park. We don't have any brook trout right now in the 20-mile watershed, and we're getting to restore about 3 miles on Moore Springs branch with our partners with Trout Unlimited over there in the Pisgah chapter and the Land of Sky chapter. And I'm pretty excited about that. That'll be a really nice resource for people to go fish, good sized stream, good access with a trail. And so once that's restored, that'll be a fine place for people to go fish and enjoy those southern Appalachian brook trout.
As autumn approaches the southern Appalachians, the mornings begin to get cool. Fog dances in the valleys. Elk bugles can be heard in the distance. Bears begin to fatten up for the winter. And brook trout match the fall foliage of the Smokies by putting on a vibrant display of color. To attract a mate, mature male brook trout develop extremely orange bellies that make them easier to spot from a distance. The males and females also display a greater vibrancy in their fins and other features. As they prepare for the upcoming spawn, fish become more aggressive and try to load up on the calories necessary for their magic dance. Fall in the Smokies is truly a magical time of year. We headed out to one of our favorite streams for one last brook trout adventure, in search of those famous brook trout colors.
People ask me, how they can help in terms of restoring brook trout or trying to help brook trout. I think there's several ways people can do that. One is when we recreate, when we enjoy fishing for those fish, take care of them. Enjoy fishing for them, keep your hands wet, handle them, put them back. I tell people if they catch a legal sized brook trout, we don't promote catch and release here. Most of these fish in the Smokies, these trout live 3 to 4 years and die. And so those fish are food limited and they get about that big and can't take in enough food. And so, a food limited stream, they only grow so big and they only have so many, and that's why. And so, but take care of the ones that you do catch, and if they're big enough, don't feel bad to take them and enjoy them. Bring people out to enjoy them and teach them to fish for these fish, to know that they're there and to protect them. The other thing I would say is getting involved with some groups. There's some great groups out here. We're out here today on this stream with some groups from individuals from Trout Unlimited, with the Land of Sky chapter in Asheville, the Pisgah chapter down in Hendersonville. We regularly work with the Little River chapter over in Townsend, Great Smoky Mountain chapter in Knoxville. All those folks have a passion for these fish. They like to see them, they like to catch them, but they also like to protect and preserve them. So they come out and help us volunteer to do population surveys. They come out and help us restore populations across the park. They also raise money to help us hire the seasonals and the interns that come in here and help us do the work to actually restore those fish and get the tools and supplies we need to do that. And so a lot of different ways for people to get involved. As far as what's the outlook for brook trout here in the Smokies and gaining or losing range, I would say that they're sustaining what they have right now. We were concerned many years ago about systemic takeover by rainbow trout. We've come to find out that's not the case. And the rainbow trout, when they were introduced, kind of invaded, did their thing, and kind of came to an equilibrium in some places. In other places, they extirpated or eliminated brook trout. But what we have in terms of non-native fish, that's what we have. They're there, and they've kind of done their thing. What we're concerned about are a couple things. One is, acid deposition, and that comes in the form of acid rain. That we've lost some populations in the headwaters over time from the low stream pH from that acid rain. Thankfully, our air is getting better, but what we see is that it's going to literally take decades to purge the nitrates and sulfates that are built up in our soils. And so there's this lag in recovery. And so we're kind of in this race of time. You've got rainbow trout that have invaded from the downslopes that are sitting there. You've got acid rain kind of pinching them from the top. And so what we're trying to do is restore populations where we can to keep them in perpetuity in decent habitat, so that hopefully these streams recover over time from acid rain and they can regain some of that former habitat. All we can do is try to protect and preserve some of the best habitat that we have, put those fish back where we can, and hopefully they have the genetic insurance to deal with that warming period that's coming, to get through it like they have, for millennia.